leadership, which his promoters tell him, shareholders tell him, okay, we want this valuation by next year. By any means you do it. When I say, because when you hire him, you add zero to the cost of the company. Because he comes cheaper, because all the CEOs are very expensive. Because there are 1,000 CEOs in India whose salary is more than 2 crore rupees per year. And there are some CEOs who are getting 10 crore, 15 crore. Even the promoter CEOs are also getting 70 crore, 60 crore, 50 crore. He adds zero there. So your cost of the company goes up by that zero. If it was 10, it becomes 100. It doesn't stop there because O's have become more important these days. He says, I want a CFO, another zero. Because he can't run a company without a CFO. There were no CFOs earlier, but still it was running. It was chief accountant, whatever you wanted, financial officer, whatever. He wants chief financial officer. So zero from 10, it becomes 100, and 100 to 1,000. One zero is added there. Then he doesn't stop there. He wants another row. He says, I want a chief technology officer now, because technology is very important. CTO. So everybody chief there. Chief executive officer, chief financial officer, chief technical officer, then another zero is added. So the cost, which was 10, becomes 10,000 by hiring 3 people. That means cost has gone by 10,000%. What do you expect from him? Because you expect him to recover these costs. And your brand is not that powerful. So you do what? You compromise on cost or other quality or something else. So the problem is that when the CEO is not able to deliver, is not able to create a brand, then what happens? Who is the leader who has failed? It's the promoter who hired that CEO, added the cost, without thinking of the implications. Because most of the companies which were earlier, this is fashion which has happened, I have not understand whether India is ready for that kind of thing or not. But all the companies who hired CEOs, who were privately, family-held companies, who hired CEOs, ultimately they became the public-listed companies. Idea was to create valuation, sell your own equity, make money, and go. Brands are suffering. The problem is you are in the market expansion. Is the idea of a leader is, as he pointed out, create more market. For a political leader, it is also the same thing. Political leader is, in market terminology, if I speak, political leader is also supposed to expand his political market, share of the political market. And in terms of, again, market jargons, a political leader can capture more market either through mergers and acquisitions, which is happening now in the current situation. By winning some election, where you can't win, you acquire. Similarly, you guys also do the same thing. Because instead of creating your own market, you also acquire. In the process, you become richer. Somebody else becomes richer because of selling the company. But merger and acquisition is the only job of a leader. So this new terminology is happening, the market expansion has to take place, that I have to acquire more market either by beating my competitors and then getting the bigger market. But for me, leader is one who creates his own market. Should a leader be more visible than the brand? That is more important. Because Tata name is what? Tata is the surname of somebody who was a Tata there. Today, Tata is more respectable, credible brand than any other brand in India, even after 150 years. One Tata has gone, second Tata has come, third has come, after that some mystery has come, he has gone, no Tata has come, some South Indian Brahmin has come, he's taken the Tata brand. So what is the leadership here? My friend Chandra is carrying on the forward the heritage, which is much more created by Tatas. And in terms of other things, my friend Mukesh Ambani, son of Dhirubhai, was my friend. Reliance is less known than the Mukesh Ambani. Airtel, for example, is another brand we have created. Vodafone is important because everybody was created here, sold to Vodafone, it became a foreign company here. The problem, I'm saying the leadership should be able to create a brand for its own country, for its stakeholder, which is talking about it. How come India, even after 70 years, we have satellites, we have created a great scientist? ISRO is a great thing which has been created, but there is no name behind it. Because ISRO was an institution created by a political leader who thought about it in the early 50s, Jawaharlal Nehru, that science and space is going to be more important. We are in the top 5 now. But there is no name behind it. So where is our brand? Even after 70 years, we don't have an educational institution which can be known as a global brand. We have got IITs. We are spending more money on the IITs. It costs, one IIT costs about 600 crore rupees. And you must have seen the news. People are not willing to take admission in IITs even now. 30% of the IIT vacancies in engineering is still vacant there. We are competing for it. We are going to establish IITs everywhere. But what happens? Our leaders, both corporates and political, they are most interested in investing money in foreign institutions. There are 25 industrialists in India who have given more than $1 million grant to foreign universities. They have not given a 1 rupee to Indian universities. Is that the leadership we are talking about? Somebody has given $10 million, somebody has given $20 million, their sons and daughters go and admit there, and they come back and they talk about CEOs and CFOs, because that's the language they learn from there. Even Dr. Manmohan Singh, my great teacher, he gave a grant to his own university where he studied, Cambridge. So why India has not been able to create, where we had Takshila-like university, Nalanda and whatnot, the world-known famous universities, we have not been able to create a good school or a good college or a good training hospital or whatnot. So leadership is meant in every field to create something which people second generation, third generation, fourth generation requires. We are not able to do it. That is what the problem is arising here. As he pointed out, we have to be disruptionist. Earlier, if you use the word disruption, you were used as in some kind of arsonist, gunda or something who is disrupting the atmosphere. Now you are disrupting, you are a leader. Like Mr. Narendra Modi, he is disrupting everything. One day he does something, before you digest what he has done, next day is something else. Third day he does something else. You are looking for what are we talking about? Today I read in the newspaper, Amit Shah said, Narendra Modi has created 150 schemes which are meant for poor people. As a journalist, I don't remember 150 schemes. Then I have to look for which scheme has done what. But that is also one way of creating leadership, because through his various schemes and analysis, he is visible, he is straight into your eyes. So when I talk about leader should be visible through his work or through his pictures. He's a friend of mine. I know him for 40 years. I know he's a very ambitious fellow, but he's a very dedicated person because he has no personal greed at all. So he can do whatever he wants to do. I'm giving an example of Modi because for 40 years, when I met him first time in 1974 and sat with him on a dharna in Gujarat, since then he's becoming the Prime Minister. Fellow has been following what he thought, I thought at that time. When 2008, when he won the election, that was the interview I did him. I asked him, am I talking to the next Prime Minister of India? And you look at the YouTube, that channel, that event still available, and you will see the face of the man. He was so red in the face and so angry. He told me, Prabhu, aage badhiye. Move forward, don't ask this question. He didn't say don't ask, aage badhiye. I asked him again. He said, no, aage badhiye. When he became the Prime Minister, I asked him, when I met him, after that, he's busy, so I can't meet him that often. Some Prime Minister ban gaye na? He says, आप लोगों ने बना लिया, हमने कहा हमने तो क्यों बना? If you leave it to us, we journalists wanted to make sure you were in jail, but you didn't go to jail. You came to 7 Days Course Road. The point I'm trying to make that here is a leader who has fixed his eye what he wants to do. After 2002, how he became the Prime Minister, I remember that day when Mr. Advani and Mr. Vajpayee decided to make him the Chief Minister, replacing the whole team there. Because he was thrown out of Gujarat by RSS and those leaders because he feels there is a disruptionist. Because he's the first disruptionist political leader in this country. Wherever he went, he disrupted everything. He was General Secretary in Delhi, I knew him there. He went to Haryana first time, BJP and Chauthala Devilal party came together. Entire party was against it. He said, no, I'll do it, and they won the election. So when 2002 to 2012, he was haunted by everybody. Riots took place, which take place everywhere else also. More people died before in communal riots than they died in Gujarat. It was a more shameful thing for India to have happened there. Nobody can condone that. But he used that opportunity to build his own personality, to create his own market, I would say. Every day people were after him. But he has the aim, okay, I am haunted, no ambassador wants to see him. I remember the last interview when I was doing with him at that time, and he was supposed to go to UK for addressing some meeting, NRIs had invited him. I was sitting with him, doing an interview at 12 o'clock in the afternoon in Ahmedabad, Gandhinagar. He said, jaldi karo bhai, mere ko jana hai, flight pakadna hai Bombay ka, then I have to go to London. We started the interview, finished in about 45 minutes, 1 hour, had a cup of tea, dokla khaya. He said, acha jate hain. And before we finished the tea, got a call from Resident Commissioner Delhi. Sir, your visa has been withdrawn. I could see the face of the man. He said, Prabhu, देखो ये हो रहा है मेरे साथ. मैं भी इसको याद रखूंगा, वो भी याद रखेंगे. I will never forget it. And 7 years later, the High Commission of London was waiting outside his house in Ahmedabad to meet him. Americans were waiting outside his house and meeting him. That is a pleasure. He said, I will settle it. And from a monster, he became a leader, monk. So there was an idea in his way that you want to achieve something, there where you have to go. So there is one example here of a leadership, what he was supposed to do, and he has done it. But when you talk about leadership for growth, I'm coming back to the same phrase because I'm a student of economics. Growth is some kind of a thing in which everything is inclusive. You have to grow in terms of your own character. You have to grow in terms of your own acceptability. You have to grow in terms of your credibility. You talk stakeholders or whatever you want to talk. Ultimately, your credibility is much more important. The institution you left behind, those are more important. For me, a successful leader is the one who can ensure growth in the future and now. Success of a successful leader lies in creating his own successful successors. If you're not able to create your successor, you look into the family only, you are a hypocrite, you are not a leader. That is what has happened in the Congress party because they couldn't create any leader. And here was Mr. L.K. Advani who created every leader in the party which is there today. He is not being accepted, that's a different issue. He created Narendra Modi, he created Arun Jaitley, he created Venkaiah Naidu, he created Anand Kumar. All the leaders I have seen myself sitting in his house and working for him and how he was promoting them. Today, what BJP is there, it is a creation of Atal Bihari Vajpayee and Advani. I want to know which corporate house has created leaders like that. I am giving the political leadership example. Now, Narendra Modi has created Amit Shah, who is 15 years younger than him. Here is the person, Amit Shah, 49-year-old, he became the first youngest president of BJP. He knows his market. That I must capture the largest political, I must become the national party. From Arunachal Pradesh to almost Kerala, there is the Bhagwa, there is the saffron everywhere. Either by mandate or by some other methods. World record of having the largest number of members. This is also market. But I want to know a corporate who has created such kind of successful leaders who can also claim that those who selected them were great people. I don't see any. Prita sitting there, but I don't know because I'm personally some kind of a gainer out of Dr. Pratap Rethi's expertise in heart ailments. I'm here today because of him, because I would have died 30 years ago. He has created leadership. He was the first person to think of a private health care, which nobody thought about that time. Insurance. And now the kind of private health care is available, which India needs. It is more by a foreign model being led, where the consumer is not a stakeholder, he is a target of leasing. So you have to think in terms of principles which lead you to be known as the person who has created something which benefits all and not only few people. Now look at the leadership I'm talking about. When I started doing journalism in 1980, I had never flown a plane. First time I flew in a plane at India Today expense. At Delhi airport, there were hardly any private planes there left. Now what has happened? Every political leader or every political or corporate leader, success lies in how many private planes does he or she owns. At Delhi airport, Bombay airport, there are more private planes than the commercial planes. I don't mind that. It's a good sign. But do they deserve those? I know a real estate person in Delhi who started a company that he's likely to go to jail soon. First thing he did, he bought his own private plane at 70 crore rupees. And his name was quite famous in Delhi circles. I don't want to name him. That this company is going to do very well. He became a hero in that sector. But 7 years later, he's on the verge of going to Tihar jail. There are other real estate fellows who sold his cement plants, sold power plants, everything else. He was the name. So where is that leadership has gone? Either he misjudged the future, either he misjudged his own capacity to create assets. Because I don't think a leader is one who creates wealth. Because wealth creation has become the only measuring yard for a successful leader. How much wealth he's created for himself rather than for the stakeholders. You create wealth for the nation, you create wealth for the company, you create wealth for your shareholders. I'm just leaving a thought with you. Any company you pick up, I don't want to name any company because the biases are left. Personal network of the promoter, has it grown in proportionate to the networks of the shareholders, other shareholders, non-promoter shareholders? If a person has a personal cash of 80,000 crore rupees lying in his bank and owes banks about 1,50,000 crore rupees, 80,000 crore rupees personal wealth has come, or somebody has got 40,000 crore, something else, 5 billion coming, 10 billion. As a shareholder of that company, his 10 rupees share has also gone that much. No. How did he make that money? So this is the question I'm trying to do, because you have to create wealth in terms of where everybody feels that you are part of the family. A leader is one who is the head of the family. A leader is one who is respected and not feared. A leader is one whose credibility is much more than the brand he leads, because he created it. So when you say leadership for growth, I want leadership which turns things in growth as a total idea, not in terms of money alone. That is what is happening. Money cannot be the parameter for measuring the success of a leader. This is what is happening in this country, that if you make more money, valuations become more important than the value. Like in journalism, what is happening now, unfortunately, there is also leadership that where the bylines is less important than the bottom lines. Every editor is being judged because the company's bottom lines are going down. Therefore, editor has to go. He cannot write according to what is what. So journalism leadership, journalist leadership also, what is happening in the country is reflecting everywhere else. But that doesn't mean that India has not done well. India is more than $1 trillion economy. In terms of price parity, it is perhaps the 5th largest economy in the world. We are proud to be going abroad. Earlier, you used to go with $500 in our job, in your pocket. Now we have credit card, which nobody else has got. Indians are the largest spenders everywhere else. For example, I'm giving this example again to prove the leadership concept. World Economic Forum, promoted by my great friend Rahul Bajaj, is one of the promoters of World Economic Forum when he started. I went to World Economic Forum only once in 1992. I came back with a story. Other journalists go there to promote the industrialists who are there sitting behind the snow peak and giving interviews on TV. I came back with this story, and after that, minister resigned. From Davos, I came back. The point I'm trying to make it, Davos is a place, it has become a club of people who go for holiday and incidentally also discuss business. I went there, what happened, Madhav Singh Solanki, who was the foreign minister of my country, he was there giving a note to his counterpart, he don't follow a case on Bofors. Is Davos meant to promote this? If you look at the Davos attendance, I have seen the list of people who attend there, largest single contingent in Davos goes from India. Davos as a company surviving there because of Indians spend money there. And if you do the forensic audit of Davos expenditure by Government of India and others, what is the cost-benefit analysis? Have we got something more out of Davos? But all the leaders are there. Thank God Prime Minister has stopped going there. So when you are talking about all kinds of things in terms of leadership, we have to think that are we sincere to our own stakeholders? Are we here to promote their interests or increase our visibilities? I've seen the changes in, for example, these forums like CII, FICCI, and other forums. They're supposed to be there. Okay, do it. You're supposed to influence the policy. But now the leaders are competing to be seen with the Prime Minister, to be seen with the ministers, everybody else. Is that the leadership? When I see somebody competing, somebody being with the Prime Minister or somebody else, I think some of the corporate leaders who are heading these forums or who have been in the past, their valuation, their credibility is much more than the credibility of the politicians. They seek their company. They can survive without those politicians. They have created something which the politicians have never created. So leadership has to think that we are bigger than anybody else. People should chase the leader rather than leaders chasing the leaders who have no following. When you talk about growth, I will just conclude where I am talking about it. That you have to think as the leaders of corporate industry. How come after 70 years of independence, India is importing everything from nappies to napkins? Why? You go to Amazon and come and take over the market here. Why couldn't we think of that kind of thing? Technology is foreign. Marketing is foreign. Financial institutions are foreign. Where are our Indian leaders? Because we will be always captive to these originality, disruptive leaders who are coming from abroad, taking over the marketing structures here, taking over the educational system here. This morning I read a newspaper item, 2 items I read it. Because that speaks about the kind of things that are happening. At one corner the newspaper says, subsidy on kerosene to be withdrawn on weekly basis. 25 paisa it will increase, and after 14 weeks, there will be 0 subsidy on kerosene. None of us uses kerosene sitting here. I don't think we take it. Who uses it? Somebody sitting in Yuggi or slum area uses still somewhere. They have been able to provide some gas connection. That's a different issue. On the other lead story of the Economic Times is, interest rates have come down. See the comparison. These 2 policy decisions, both will be hailed by the corporate leaders. For no reason, I don't know why. Because interest is coming down for the last 6 years. Has manufacturing picked up in this country?